Sustainable Development Policies Division. Raula, thank you ever so much for joining us this afternoon. You were part of a session yesterday discussing a particular topic which was transforming from followers to leaders. Could you explain a bit more about how that session went?
I think it was a very interesting session in the sense of posing challenging questions. Some of them were questions that required more complex answers than a yes or no. Especially in a region where you have so much diversity in terms of resource endowment, but also a region with oil exporters, middle income countries, countries in conflict, countries under occupation, and that makes the issue of climate challenge even more challenging, in the sense that we are a region where we are working very hard on improving our performance in terms of clean energy. Many countries in the region have already embarked on big renewable energy projects. Many of them have already committed in their national development contribution for the Paris Agreement ambitious targets to raise renewable energy within the energy mix. However, we have to understand that we are a region also challenged by the negative impact of climate change. It's not just emission, but also the impact in terms of experiencing floods, droughts, extreme weather events, repetitive rise in temperature. We at UNESCO, at the United Nations Economic and Social Commission for Western Asia, have worked extensively on assessing the impact of climate change through regional climate modeling, and the data is really scary in many ways. We're going to experience as a region higher temperature than the global by mid-century. We've done two scenarios, a moderate scenario and a business as usual higher scenario. And we are likely to experience, for the moderate scenario, a 2 to 3 degrees above the global average rise in temperature by end of century, and by 4 to 5 degrees in the business as usual scenario. This means what? This means that we will experience more heat waves, repetitive extreme events, but also less water, especially in a region like where you have water coming from outside the region, the Nile, the Euphrates, the Tigris. We are going to see a drop of almost of about 10% in the water flow, and that in the rainfall, and that will affect the runoff, and that will affect our ability to use resources like water for food, for growing food.
Do you think these figures have been taken into consideration when forecasting for projects of the future?
I think that there is a mismatch, unfortunately. There is more emphasis on embarking on renewable energy projects, which are very important, which are the future. Definitely we endorse this, but I think that the region needs more adaptation project to address its repetitive droughts, to address sea water level rise, to address food insecurity, to undertake smart agriculture, to do, for example, wastewater treatment. Jordan, for example, has been a leader in wastewater recycling. You really need to see in the type of projects that we embark on that they address our water stress as much as the challenge of the emission. This is where I see there is a mismatch, if you want. There is also a mismatch in the amount of money that the region has received from global donors, such as the Green Climate Fund, such as the Adaptation Fund. I think that there is according to the figures from the UNFCCC, they show that there is a ratio of 5 to 1 for mitigation as opposed to 1 for adaptation. There is more funding for loans as opposed to grants, and this already is not very well suited for least developed countries, countries in conflict, countries coming out of war. So one needs to really rethink the models of funding, the models of access to technology, of capacity building, which are within the spirit of the Sustainable Development Goals. The Sustainable Development Goal 7, which is sustainable energy, is not just about renewable energy. It's about renewable energy, energy efficiency, access to energy, and this is not well represented in that sense in the debate, if you want. Sustainable development goals are not just about sustainable energy, it's also access. There is the goal that addresses means of implementation, international cooperation, international collaboration. These are not these are essential for achieving the goals of sustainability by 2030, and definitely for achieving the Paris goals. The Paris the Paris Agreement, raising ambition to meet the Paris Agreement, should have, if you want, a more balance between adaptation and mitigation, that is suited for our region. So, in terms of the title of the session, we could become leader. We have the resources, we have the human resource capacity, we have the basic. We have plenty of sun and plenty of wind, so we have the elements for turning into renewable energy. But renewable energy has to be matched with energy efficiency, with a number of measures that address sustainability at the social level, at the economic level, economic diversification, as well as the deployment of renewable energy.
Raula, thank you ever so much. You made my job incredibly easy there. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon. Thank you.